So hello students, in the previous chapter we have discussed about the infrastructure of India on the eve of independence. In this video we are going to discuss about the foreign and occupational structure of India. So welcome to the economics class students. Now let's start the video.
Foreign trade. India has been an important trading nation since ancient time, but the restrictive policies pursued by the colonial government adversely affected the structure, composition, and volume of India's foreign trade. The state of India's foreign trade during British rule is discussed as under this table. Number one is Britishers' monopoly on foreign trade. Number two, net exporter of raw material and importer of final goods. And number three is drain of Indian wealth. We will discuss this in our next page. Number one is Britishers' monopoly on foreign trade. As we know that British government maintained a monopoly control over India's exports and imports. More than half of India's foreign trade was restricted to Britain, while the rest was allowed with few other countries like China, Sri Lanka, and Persia, which is now known as Iran. In 1869, served as a direct route for the ships operating between India and Britain. Now the second point is net exporter of raw materials and importer of finished goods. Due to discriminative tariff policy adopted by the British government, India became net exporter of raw materials and primary products. On the other hand, it became net importer of finished goods reproduced by the British industry. It means India became an exporter of primary products such as raw silk, cotton, wool, sugar, indigo, jute, etc., and an importer of finished consumer goods like cotton, silk, and woolen cloths, and capital goods like light machinery produced in the British industries. Now, the next point is drain of Indian wealth. Surplus profit made and account of foreign trade during the British rule was distributed on administrative and as well as on war expenses. It was only used to increase the pursuits of the British government, which means under the British rule, India became an exporter of primary products and importer of finished goods. There was huge export surplus due to excess exports. However, export surplus was used to make payments for expenses incurred by an office set up by the colonial government in Britain to meet expenses on war fought by the British government and also to import invisible items to India. Now these are the basic points which describes the state of India's foreign trade during the British rule. Now next topic is occupational structure, in which we study the occupational structure of our country on the eve of independence in the British colonial era. As we know, occupational structure refers to distribution of working persons across different countries and sectors. During the colonial period, the occupational structure of India showed little sign of change. The state of occupational structure during the British rule can be summarized as under. The 2 points are predominance of primary occupation and second is regional variation. What is predominance? It means importance. So The agricultural sector accounted for the largest share of workforce with approximately 75%. The manufacturing and service sector accounted for the remaining 25%. Now the second is regional variation. It is the another striking aspect was the growing regional variation. The state of Tamil Nadu, Andhra Pradesh, Kerala, Karnataka, Maharashtra, and West Bengal witnessed a decline in dependence of workforce on the agricultural sector with a associated increase in the manufacturing and service sector. However, during the same time, there had been an increase in the share of workforce in agriculture in states such as Odisha, Rajasthan, and Punjab. We can also understand the occupational structure by the help of this picture, and we can easily understand it by the pie chart. There are two important features of India's occupational structure during the British period. Number one, 70% to 75% of India's working population was involved with agricultural sector. Only 10% were engaged with manufacturing sector and 15% to 20% were with service sector. And number two is growing regional variation, which I have already discussed. That's all for today, students. Have a nice day. Thank you.